How are you, mate?
Ben,
How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well. What's new?
Not much at the moment. Just trying to stay busy, stay healthy, learn. It's a tough time for all of us, but at least the weather's been good.
Yeah, a bit of a different if it had been pissing down the rain. I think people's attitude would be a little different. So before we get going, mate, we'll just give it a couple of minutes because I did tell people sure. 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Whilst we are waiting, mate, just give people a background on yourself. They know enough about me. Yeah,
I'm sure they do. So, my background is in high performance tennis, and the last 6 years I've specialised in tennis analytics and strategy for pro players on the professional men's tour, particularly. And the last 2 years I've been working with some top coaches, working with players like Stan Wawrinka, who was number 4 in the world. And then this year, before the tour got closed down, I was working with Serbian number 4, Mimor Kekmanovic, who's a guy that's on his way up to being a top player. So, basically I've been, into data and analytics. And for me, it's like the conversation we had this morning. I think it can be brought into shooting massively.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be quite mind-blowing from a lot of people, and especially me, because I want to get into how you do it. That's the part that I want to get into. So for the people that don't know, we're related as well.
Yeah,
so
cousins.
You are my cousin, my dad's sister's son. So
you got the looks. So
you must have got the brains then. So one of us looked out somewhere.
I'll take that.
So so I've been watching the tennis today on YouTube, trying to get a little bit of a synchronization between the two and trying to understand it. So let's very, very briefly, what do you analyze in a tennis performance? What are you looking for?
So I mean, the beauty of what I do is it is very much data and numbers, but in tennis over the last 5 or 6 years, it's got very popular for the players to have teams around them.
Right.
So I talk about tennis a little bit like Formula One. You see Lewis Hamilton driving the car on the podium, but he's got 250 staff behind him doing every bit, every cog, every analytics is a part of that car for him to be able to race. Ultimately, he's the guy that's got to perform, but he has a huge team behind him. And that's the case in tennis. So with my analytics, I brought in the psychologist, the physical trainer, the physio. Everybody is involved in what they're looking at. So really, I suppose it has 3 different areas, my analytics: strategy, technical development and progression, and then we do scouting, which I'm not sure in shooting whether scouting is how ethical that is and how much that affects. But the technical development side and the numbers side, so looking at season data, season trends, which I guess for you as a shooter would be very, very important.
That's what I wanted to get into, because one thing I can assure you at the moment, there is absolutely nobody doing anything, and there is nothing like this in the sport. Like, I can ask Hattie to video me shooting, and then I have to play it back and have a look at it. So is what you do video based?
Yes. Yeah, and that's the key, because you get some analysts that are just data. So they'll give the players just a data sheet, and a lot of coaches can't interpret that, and also a lot of players can't read off that data and enjoy it. You've got to remember the population, 65% of the population are visual learners.
Right.
So straight away, the majority of people learn through visual aids. So the fact that we can film tennis players' technique, slow motion it down, draw degrees of angles of separation, timing of the split steps, timing of contact points, again, I guess links into shooting with
movement and etc. etc. So if we could get something as a platform like what you're doing, we could slow that shot down and correlate the two. So he started moving early on this shot that he did on this shot. Would we be able to get feedback that this shot was taken like X amount of meters or X amount of milliseconds at changing the shot before, etc.?
Yeah, you could look at that, but also what's interesting with shooting is obviously it's outdoor sport, so you're going to be shooting in different conditions. I know you've been all over the world shooting, so I guess it's different shooting in Texas than it is in Birmingham.
Yeah, Normally in Birmingham, it's at each other.
So you said that, not me. You're living in Birmingham, right? So basically, you know, I think the beauty of it is you can evaluate performance and you can measure performance because, again, a lot of coaching is done. Obviously, you're a top shooter, you know, multiple. You're going to be better than most coaches in delivering and looking at information and relaying it back. Whereas with video, you can relay 100% of it back in slow-mo in so many different ways.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of it.
So, but how would we translate that into the shooting sports without the funding of tennis? So we're probably only going to have somebody that you are close to recording from like one angle. We're not going to have the multiple of cameras like what you guys have to pull off. What data could you get from one angle?
I mean, I suppose that would, I mean, you could, the technical side of things, you could get all of the data. You know, as long as you, again, that's your expertise, not mine. I watched a few of your videos this afternoon, but my data's literally at ground zero. So obviously the technical side of it is massive. I guess your stances, and I'm not going to go too much into it myself, but the technical side, you could get all of it, and you could really, I think, help the shooters with the technical side, with slow-mo, angles, and this sort of stuff. But also, if you're tagging in a competition, so let me go back a bit. In tennis, you call it match tagging. So essentially, through the software, you're tagging everything that happens. So when I'm doing a tennis match, I'm coding every time the player hits the ball, what shot it is, their court position, when they're making contact, the score, everything. It's all human coded. So again, with shooting, it's a bit labour intensive, but the value behind that, I think, is massive, because in tennis, it's about raising the level, right? You know, it's about raising the standard, but also it's about player development. And I guess in shooting, this could be a huge tool for you guys.
Oh, massive, massive.
You know, from a psychology point of view in a competition, for example, let's say, I know you shoot out of 100, right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, there's 100 and 200 competitions,
Yeah, so, for example, if you were recording, let's say you, over the course of a season, and you could look at the trends of when are you missing your clays?
Right, got it.
You know, so there might be a trend in that.
Yeah.
There might be a trend on the certain, you know, is it coming from a certain angle,
the type
or certain
of
distance?
Clay. Yeah.
Exactly. So all of these things, if you have an amount of data and you follow the shooter over a period of time, you would get data on pretty much anything you wanted to look at. That's the beauty of it. The software is totally open for you to create that.
So what I would be looking for as a coach in shooting, so one thing I'm very big on is movement. So are they moving too soon or are they moving too late? So that's something that would be hugely, but one thing that's always interested me more than anything, and it's the one thing that you really can't coach without doing what you're doing, is where are they taking? So you're going to shoot 5 of the same targets in a row.
Yeah.
Is how different is the start point to the end point? Now, I'm having to do that at real time with my eyes and judging the background. So
amazing.
But it's not, because you could say you're a little bit out, but when you actually analyse the data, they could have been miles out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm judging it on a pylon a mile away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to do it with my eyes in real time without going to that the detail that you're saying is for me would be groundbreaking.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people sometimes are scared of this because they're like, a lot of people, you're right, it's a bit like with me, like a lot of coaches are not doing what I'm doing because they're just not into technology. They're just not into the videoing. And also it takes time. So with what I'm actually doing, even though I'm a coach first, I'm actually coming on along the side of the top coaches, top 3 or 4 coaches in the world, and sort of doing what they could do if they had the time. I'm cutting their time down, and I'll hand them all the details, chopped down. So basically, I'm breaking it all down, and then giving, like, imagine if like you were the head coach, I give you it broken all down. There you go, Ben. Go and look at it, and you can sift through it within 10, 15 minutes. Where for me, it's probably took 3 or 4 hours of work.
Yeah. Same as everything.
Exactly.
But we're talking, see, what we do with 1% could be the difference between 1st and 5th.
Yeah.
So this could be, it could be huge. There's a great question coming there. Is there a way of like recording me shoot and then overlaying the student or anything like that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's called stromoing. Yeah.
So you can actually, you can see the, no, some people would think that they would need to look alike. You know, I don't agree with that whatsoever. I'm 6'5", 20 stone. If you're 5'5" and 10 stone, our movements are not going to be the same.
So you can stromo, but also what you can do is you can literally get you taking the same clay, side by side, slow-mo it down, put the angles, and then you could see how different the student is to what your movement is in slow-mo time. So that would give you a massive amount of evidence.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, of where they're coming off and if they're not, you know, going too far front or too far behind.
And the difference in where my gun's going bang as to where theirs is going bang.
Exactly. And it's interesting, Ben, because when you called me this morning and you said there's not really a lot, you know, of analysis in shooting, it surprised me because it's a repeatable sport.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I find amazing, that you are looking to be as close as repetitive or as far from repetitive. You either want to do it again or you never want to make the same mistake again. Exactly.
And also it's a repetition-based sport, which is similar to tennis. So from a tennis player's point of view, it takes you 10,000 repetitions correctly to get the stroke.
Right.
Now, if I'm feeding you balls in tennis on your forehand, you're not going to get 10,000 in a row. So it's going to take you 100,000 forehands to get it correct.
Yeah, to knock it down.
I guess it's the same with you. You know, once the guys have got it, you know, 2 or 3 times in a row, they're going to make 7 mistakes then.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say to it. That's what interested me this morning is they're relying simply on my eyesight and real time. Yeah. And now I don't really care whether it's big-headed or not. I'm pretty much the best coach in what I do.
Yeah.
But if this can make me better, then I'm all for it, because, you know, as I get older, my reaction times, my eyes are going to get different. Yeah. And if I can still offer a service that is technology-based as well as information-based, it's got to be good for everybody.
I totally agree with you. And what's happening in tennis at the moment is what you call smart court technology. So there's a lot of companies out there now. I think there's like 60 million, invested in smart court technology last year. And the idea of that is essentially it's multiple cameras on a court and it's tracking everything. It's tracking the data without someone doing it personally. So, you know, the fact that like it's a static sport as well, I think helps it. Because it's similar to golf in that sense. You know, a golfer, massive in analytics. Golf is massive in analytics. So actually, shooting to me, yeah, I mean, should have it for sure.
Have you got another device there that you can load something up on?
What now?
Yeah.
Probably not. No, not at the moment. That wasn't in the part of the plan. What were you thinking? Just to show?
Yeah, no. I just wanted to show.
That's a Zoom. We need to do a Zoom call.
No, I wanted to show you something on YouTube. I need you to load it.
Oh, okay.
So what we've got a device called this shot cam here.
Yeah.
So this goes on the underside of the barrel.
Is that what I saw on your tutorial videos?
Yeah.
When they had the little red dot in the middle.
Could that data be analysed?
Yes.
Oh, it could?
Yeah, of course. Of course. You've just got to...
You say of course like I know what I'm talking about. How thick as fuck?
The thing is, Ben, is like with tennis, data came into tennis in 1992, and even now in 2020, they've still not got it 100% right.
Yeah.
Because your KPIs as a coach and my KPIs could be different. So what you want to measure and what you think is a priority as a shooter could be different to another coach.
Yeah.
So in tennis, there's probably half a dozen guys like myself that are in the world that everyone goes, right, let's go to them because we want their KPIs. We know that what they're measuring is the most important to make me better. So that's for you as a shooter really to go, right, as a coach to go, what are my KPIs that I know are going to improve performance?
So this could actually bring in almost like remote coaching, couldn't it? People could send you data without you being next to them and you can analyse it without being there.
And I'll tell you what, that saved me at the moment. I'll tell you now, because I'm working with academies in New Zealand, Sweden are not in lockdown. New Zealand's just coming out of lockdown. And they're playing tennis. So I'm getting the matches absolutely right, coming over via email, and I'm analysing them and sending them back. So it's giving me some work to do during this period. But absolutely right. And again, physical training, mental training is all remote nowadays. You know, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
So there's a couple of questions here. So David Jennings is a student of mine. In shooting, the object is always very difficult to see or record. That would be the problem. I think what David's misunderstanding there is he thinks I'm going to record the clay. I'm talking about recording the person.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the clay. The clay is going to be the irrelevant part of this. What we're going to be looking for relative data to mirror image movement upon movement upon movement upon movement. The outcome will take care of itself if the movement's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's going to be interesting is the fact you're saying there's no data around this. Then you've got to create a case study. Yeah. You've got to get 10,000 shooters over a period of time, and then you've got your norms. Yeah, then you've got someone else coming into the sport. You go, well, if you hit in this level, you're going to be Olympic standard, world champion. You're going to be
Yeah.
You know, obviously, winning events ultimately is going to dictate whether you are going to be in an Olympic team or vying for the world championships or anything like this. But to build them up, to layer them up, is going to be the interesting part.
But they'll be quite interesting with this, because this will be viral soon throughout the shooting world that we've had this conversation, and there'll be lots of shooting instructors that will go, no, that's shit. And the reason they'll say it's shit is because then they'll get found out that their students are simply not improving.
And again,
because data doesn't lie.
Brilliant, and I think that's why in tennis it's never took off. Yeah, it has took off, but at the pro game, and I think. You're absolutely right. You can't hide from that. You can't hide from video.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Data you can still hide a little bit because people can always interpret the data slightly differently. But then if you have the data married with the video,
you can't be arguing.
Game over. Yeah, case closed.
It's like when I go to court. You can't argue with DNA. What's quite simple is you can get a coach, go onto Facebook on a Sunday and say, oh my God, absolutely amazing week for my students. They've all hit personal best. You're like, well, where's the proof then?
Exactly.
Where's the evidence?
And what I'm really interested in what you just said there is the remote coaching side. Again, in shooting, I mean, again, for me, seems to be a no-brainer with technology nowadays to actually create a platform and have remote shooting going on. And again, even in tennis, it's happening now. You know, you film your video, you send it to coaches and people are doing it. Of course, it's about credibility, and you've got that credibility in the sport to be able to do that really well. So
here's some questions that are way above my pay grade. Do you use RFID technology to capture movement data?
No.
Fuck, that's way above my pay grade.
So we use 4K cameras. It's the software. Do you want me to tell everyone the software so they all go out and buy it now and try to use it? The software is Dartfish. And Dartfish is used in weightlifting, in all sports. It's interesting. I went on their website earlier and I clicked on sports that the software is meant to be user friendly for, and it came up with shooting. Right. But I clicked on shooting and nothing happened. So obviously, no one's. Maybe Olympics. Maybe they're looking at it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or Olympic federations. So it's obviously not out there.
Is this something that you could do a case study on me that we could publish for people?
I think that would be. I'd be more than happy to do that, and I think that'd be really exciting because, you know, for me, if it's not been done in the sport yet, then it is, like you say, it's groundbreaking.
It is. I mean, this. I'm telling you now, for the people that will look at this is going to be major. So what happens is, you see, with some forms of shooting, you have to start with the gun away from you down here, and when you can make the move, this move here would account for probably 25% of misses.
Okay.
But this happens in under a second. So I'm trying to judge that with my eyes.
Yeah.
And you can, as good as I am or as good as anybody else is, there's still going to be information that I'm missing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So if we could slow that down and take a look at how that works, and you could take 10 shots and you would see a periodic table that was saying, well, when it does go wrong, it's the right hand's moving first. Would we get that information?
Yeah, exactly. And again, in competition, you know, you could link that to again, when they're missing and when they're making it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because over a season, you'll always find patterns. And the thing is with tennis, they used to go, well, tennis is an action sport. You know, it's feel. It's, you know, no one knows where they're really hitting the ball. Of course, they know where they're hitting the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's rubbish. Is even subconsciously, your subconscious brain brings patterns out in you. And again, for movement, you know, you're going to have good patterns and bad patterns in movement that are going to be in there. You know, so no, a case study would be great when we get this lockdown in 2021, mate. We can we can look at that.
What I'm interested in as a coach, if you picked one of the guys that you're talking about now, say the guy that was 4th in the world, if you analysed his practice performance and then you put him in the semi-finals of Wimbledon and analysed him again, does different patterns occur due to mindset from practice and comp?
Brilliant question, because there you're now talking about scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
So with scoreboard pressure, you want to do something that you've repeated in practice over and over again, you've been successful with. So often it's down to poor execution. That could be breathing control. That could be the physically getting tired. All of these things. And again, I'm not sure how much that links to shooting. I guess breathing is a massive
massive.
Yeah. So again, and again, if you've missed an easy forehand, you know, match point down, and that happens 6 times in a year, but also that could be worth $1 million. So you know, you want to get that right, don't you? So you know, there's these things to always consider, and you're absolutely right, and that's why I'm always working on. I don't know with shooting whether you really do that, but the psychology side of it, you can also pick up on video. The physical side of it, you can pick up on video. So again, it's about, you know, learning using the video. If no one's done it before, then shooting's pretty much at ground zero for getting in.
Yeah, massively.
You know, I'd be interested with you to get involved in that and help. Obviously, that's where your expertise. I know to use the software and set it up. You know what you'd be looking for, and I think that's the key part of it. But
so let's go back to your grassroots of tennis.
Yeah.
What would be the top 5 things that you look for in data?
Yeah, so we look at court position.
Yeah.
That's massively important, right? Because where you're on the court's going to reflect whether you're in attack, neutral and defence.
Yeah.
Your serve percentages and your winning serves. So for anyone now that's slightly into tennis, you know, you can serve wide, body or tee. You can serve at them or wide or tee. Okay. The amount of times you're playing the return, because in tennis, a lot of people don't understand this, is
get the ball back in play.
70% of the match is 0 to 4 shots, and 0 to 4 is the serve and the return.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of long rallies happen. People come in from work and they see the highlight reel. It's all the long rallies, you know, because the TV companies want to show the sport off. But actually, a lot of tennis is ace, ball goes in, goes out, return. So court position, serve, return, and then really you start to get into look at the physicality.
Yeah.
You know, so the movement side of it. So what's their movement like at the beginning of the match compared to the end of the match? Is their timing, you know, off? You know, at the beginning, and that's the other thing is some players are great front runners. So when they're ahead in the
when they get out in front, they're hard to catch.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas other players are very slow to start and then they pick up at the end. So again, I guess in this shooting competition, you know, I know the top guys like yourself miss 1 or 2 in a competition. So it's like you just say, it's 1%. But you know, if you're a slow starter in shooting, then how can you overcome that? Well, using video and reviewing the competition side of it has got to be massive.
Because one question I hear a lot from my students is, I need to warm up first. Now, the problem with that is if you go to the World Championships and you're on at 8 o'clock in the morning,
brilliant, and
the shooting ground opens at 8 o'clock, there is no warming up.
Right. So
you've got to be able to go into it straight away.
In tennis, if you were on 8 a.m, they'd let you in. Yeah,
we're a bit different, mate. They've got to move the cows first.
Yeah, but absolutely right. And that's, again, shooting to tennis is the same. It's like same with golf. It's played in different conditions. You're on at different times. Very good point. And that's massive. You know, are you someone that likes to shoot after lunch or before lunch?
Yeah. I would say everybody. So from myself at the top of the sport to somebody in C class at the bottom of the sport, I would say there's probably a 2% to 30% drop in performance from practice to comp.
but we don't know that. That's your opinion.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly.
But how good would it be if you actually knew that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you can actually go, right, well, this is the bar, you know, because the other thing within practice, you can go, well, if you're hitting these serves, this amount of aces, this amount of forehand winners in practice, you know, potentially if they perform like that on the match court, that's going to get them the W.
Yeah.
So, and again, in shooting, it comes back to key performance indicators, your KPIs. What are you going to measure in the sport of shooting?
Well, I'm just going to put that. I'm going to put that to the viewers now. Right, guys. Type on your phone, just one at a time, just one idea. What would be the top 5 things you would want analysed in your own performances? Stick those on the screen for me. So, what's the legal ramifications if I said to you, right, I want you to analyse him?
So scouting.
So if I said to you, right, my main competitor this year is so-and-so, give me his data. Can you do it or not?
Well, hang on. So in tennis, yes, because it's all on TV. So we're getting all the matches coming off, and no one can hide in tennis.
Yeah.
In shooting, I mean, I don't know what the TV rights are and what the
TV rights. Well, most people haven't got one.
or whatever the top competitions are. You know, it'd be interesting because I know I go on YouTube, you can get a lot of feel for the competitions, and interviews a lot more. I notice on YouTube. Yeah, you see
they all fucking lie.
You see highlights of you shooting, and then you get the interview. Whereas I'd be interested to know, absolutely right, if you go and set up a camera on that stand for the day, why not? Why not? You know, I mean, if no one's written a rule book in shooting, then let's start it.
Trust me, most of the rules revolve around me.
Someone asked earlier, do you use heart rate monitors? Absolutely. Do you know why? Because that is the biggest indication of whether you're nervous.
Yeah.
So you talk about Djokovic. Everyone on here must know about Djokovic. He's unbelievable. Everyone was taking the mick out of him a couple of years ago because he was hugging trees and he was doing yoga and Pilates before his matches in the players' lounge. But his breathing control is the best in the world.
If I had 200 million in the bank, I'd hug a tree.
So the heart rate monitor thing's great for training, and that's another one. Again, wearable technology. If you're training someone in shooting, to get them to wear a heart rate monitor and to monitor that data, you can link it up to the video of the actual shot, and again, you've got even more data on them. So that was a great point there.
So the things that are coming up keys here would be mount, so whether they're mounted at the same time.
Easy, yeah.
Hold point, whether they're starting in the same place. So they take a shot, they drop the gun, they load, and when they call pull again, that they're in the same place. Movement, i.e. where is the movement coming from? Is the movement coming from the legs, the hips, the waist, or the hands? Consistency, what I spoke about, that the shot is being taken on that pylon 2.5 miles away that I can just see in the background, and I'm trying to say, yes, it is. Consistency of all those things, and then speed at which they move. It's the one thing that's probably the biggest thing in shooting that I don't think any coach in the world can accurately measure, is how fast they're moving. So you can get the serve speed. Yeah. What I'd be interested in is how fast does he rotate for the 5 shots, if you know what I mean. Okay,
that's the one that I want to say we still can do, but that might be the most difficult one. We can definitely on the video slow-mo it, get the angles going and look at it that way. Regards to how fast he's going with the body part, I've got some friends in tennis are doing that for me, so I can speak with them and see.
It'd just be interesting to see their movement speed compared to the clay speed, or if it changes, because what you tend to find with shooters is they either get careful or careless. They slow down or speed up.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And again, that'll be down to scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, massive.
You don't particularly like this clay,
particular
this
presentation. Yeah, massive.
Exactly. But the key one is, like with tennis, it's a top-down approach. So in tennis, you've got data of Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, Murray. So you go, well, that's what the best do. So your amateurs know when they come off court and they look at themselves, they go, oh, well, I'm that close to that.
Yeah. You know. So people say to me, so we have 3 different types of shooting predominantly. We have the one where you start in front of the clay. We have the one where you start on the clay, and then we have the one where you start behind the clay. So it's just your starting is different. Yeah. And people come on here all the time and they said, Ben, why don't you use the one where you start in front? And I say to them, I always say the same thing. The top 20 in the world, nobody does that.
Right, yeah.
But again, as you said earlier, that's my opinion. We have no proof.
Yeah, because everyone's doing it, everyone just follows on.
Yeah.
And it becomes a trend, but it becomes a trend with actually not really knowing, well, is someone going to prove it otherwise?
Yeah.
You know, so in tennis, for example, there was a myth that, and I saw someone earlier put, unless it's on clay. Tennis is played on different surfaces, so clay, grass or hard court. The rally length is the same.
Right.
So everyone used to go, clay's slower, so it's longer rallies. Grass is fast, so it's shorter rallies. It's the same. So that was a myth until data changed that.
Yeah.
So again,
that's what I say. You can't argue with it.
No, and I'm sure in your sport there'll still be myths, old wives' tales that are going around that people are following.
Well, since the introduction of the smartphone, so there's a gentleman that shoots a lot. He's been very successful in the past. A guy called George Digweed, and he said that he starts behind every bird. He's always started behind every bird. Well, now people have got smartphones and started to film him. You can see he definitely doesn't do that.
Right.
So his, I don't know what you put it down to, like his honesty levels have been tested because people say, well, you obviously don't. Because we've now got data. It's not data, it's a footage.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's saying you're not doing this.
Yeah, yeah. The camera doesn't lie from that point of view.
No, you can't. If the gun starts in front of it, you can't tell me it started behind.
But the key one is, and again, I don't know how much this relates to, but I think you're talking about there, that is strategy, isn't it, what you're talking about?
Yeah,
your positioning is going to be your strategy of how you're going to set up today. So again, you're going to be different maybe where if you play, if you're in dry conditions or wet conditions or whatever. So again, with videoing and data, you can look at strategy and tactics, and then the technical side of things, and then the mental side of things. Because the mental side is if you're breathing, you're too panicking, then you're not going to get the shot
exactly. So it's going to be completely different. Yeah. That's why I thought this was going to be interesting. It's far more interesting than I actually thought it was going to be. So, what anomalies have shown up in the data that you might never have thought? So, like, I'm even talking stupid things like footwear, clothing, stuff that you would never even think of.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a really good question. I never get asked that from tennis people. It's a tough one to think about. I think string technology, for example, has changed massively in the last...
on the racket.
Yeah, exactly. So the tension of the strings as well. So back in the 90s and 80s, everyone was having the racket strung so tight, it was like a mallet.
Yeah.
And now it's very loose because all the players, they want more power, basically. They want more power. So, again, I think it's gone a little bit like that in golf. The golfers now are driving far more. So again, the technology and that sort of stuff. Technique hasn't massively changed. But the physicality has changed with tennis players massively. You look at tennis players now on the TV; they're more muscly, they're more built. Whereas before they were more skinny and slender and not much on them. That's changed massively. And again, just the mentality, just the three guys I'm talking about: Nadal, Djokovic, and Roger, have just raised the bar mentally. To I don't know whether we ever see anyone like that in tennis, where they're just ice cold. They're just.
And that's what we had in shooting. There was one person that was good. And there was people that weren't as good. Then two people caught the one guy, and the three of them went off on their own.
Brilliant.
And the three of us went off on our own for 10 years. And now the same thing's happened again. We've all been caught. And now it's just a flat, even playing field of 150 people. So if any of this can give me 2%, this is going to be major for me.
Then you owe me some money, mate. But what I would say is that you're absolutely right. And I talked about the other day on a podcast that tennis goes in cycles. So the sport just goes in cycles. And it's just, when it goes in the cycle, it's a better version of what it was. If that makes sense. So like you've just said, is absolutely right. So Roger Federer came out and he was head and shoulders above the rest. That was like, oh my God, this guy, no one's going to catch this guy. And then Nadal caught him up. Then Djokovic caught him up. And then now, you've got, like you say, you've got more players at that level. And then now it's going to be a case of, well, what's going to be the difference for the next generation to come up and then do another leap? And there will be another leap.
Yeah. Always will be.
Humans move on.
Technologies get better too.
Exactly. And wearable technology, videoing, capturing data, I think this is the future.
So here's a couple of questions for you. Do you heat map the court?
Yes. And
how is the data communicated, implemented back to the student?
Brilliant question. And I think if I talk about from my point of view, I'm coming in almost as like a second coach.
Yeah.
So what I don't do, personally for me, my role, I don't go straight to the player. The players pay my wages.
Let's stop there for a minute, because I think it's important to say that you didn't just study analytics and go into tennis. You've always been a tennis player, a tennis coach. I don't think we've covered that yet. So you're not just sitting watching tennis and don't understand it. You were very good at tennis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good at tennis, coached all the way through the levels, coached on the tour, but knew that to get to the top of the game, because I wasn't a top X player, the equivalent to you in shooting, how am I going to get to the top of the game? And if I'm honest, earn good money. So this was my route into the top of the sport.
But I think it's quite important there that people think, well, what the fuck's he doing with tennis? But you were good at tennis anyway.
Yeah. And what was the question again? How do we implement? Yeah. So how we do it? So let's say that the players played the match. I'll go away, code the match, break it all down, and often the coaches trust me because I am a coach to go, right, Mike, tell me why he's won, why has he lost? If he's won, what can he prove on? If he's lost, why did he lose?
Yeah.
I'll present that back to the head coach. And then it's up to the head coach to deliver what information, how they speak to the player, because they know the player better than me.
That's they communicate that by how they want to interpret what you've said and deliver. And if they know that player better than you, they might not say some of the stuff that you found until another day.
Exactly, 100%. Because to me, if I went direct to the player with a coach by my side, I could destroy what the coach has been working on for 10 years without wording it or what I'm showing them. So that's absolutely right. And I think that's, again, with data or videoing, it's very powerful, but it's very powerful in both ways.
Because what's quite important is you might say to a head coach, okay, his serve is only 50%. But the coach is thinking that's fucking brilliant because I've just taught him a new serve and last match it was 20%.
100%, because if you're in a technical phase of development, and again it would apply to shooting, if you're working on the setup part or anything like that, and I come in and I went direct to the player and went, this was awful today, this is way below par.
Yeah.
You're going, oh, this is
it's actually way better than last week.
Yeah, exactly. So in tennis, there's been, a movement of, again, half a dozen guys like myself in tennis at the top of the game that are coming in as bolt-ons for the support team.
Yeah.
So again, you don't want to be doing all the analytics, but you want someone like myself coming in as a specialist. To go, Ben, look, I've got all this, broke it all down for you. And, I took a lot of heart from I went to Leicester City training down back in October. They've got like 3 analysts per age group from under 9s, 11s, 13s, etc. Breaking everything down for a lot of, what does the next, Chowdhury look like or anything like that. That's the other one. Again, in shooting, you've got juniors competing and training. Who's going to be the next Ben Husthwaite?
Fucking hell, you don't another one of them. There's a couple more interesting questions here. So one of the big things, obviously, with firing a shotgun, there's a burst of energy and a recoil problem. Would we be able to look at that?
How would you want to look at that? How would you want to analyse that?
The barrel's here.
Yeah.
When the gun goes bang, where does it lift to?
Yeah, of course. The beauty of it is if you have a quality camera and it's set up at the right angle, the software, the Dartfish software, can go in any direction you want it to go in. And that's why it's been I don't work for them, but that's why it's been so successful. And it is massive and I think someone else earlier put there's Huddle, there's Sports Code. I haven't used those versions. Dartfish for me is the key one because multi-sport. You get like a blank canvas and then for your sport, you go and develop it for your sport. So, I think it's about also credibility. The fact that you've got the credibility in the sport and you're a leader in it as well will make a big difference to you getting it out there. But I think it needs almost like data from yourself. A case study is one thing, and then get other top shooters, and then at different levels. Like you said, I think you said there's different classes in shooting.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
So you want your 20 C class shooters, B class, A class, and you want to see what are their norms, what are these norms, and what are my norms, world level, all the way down.
So 2 questions from me. What's the fastest you've ever been asked for an analyse sheet? So has it been in a match where they've said, right, sort this out, we've got a problem, we're in the first set, we need an answer, or is it overnight? What's the fastest?
I can't say what. I'll tell you the story last year. French Open 4th round, a player I was working with, the coach was the player went 2 sets to 1 down, and I drove down to London during this match. I wasn't on the match, so to speak. Yeah. Drove down to London, got to my mate's house. I walk in the house, I get a text. He went, "What's going on here? I need help." So literally, I opened up the computer, got the TV on, started live coding it. It was on ITV, and then I'm feeding them live information, and he won 8-6 in the 5th set. So it was pretty goosebump stuff.
Yeah, that works.
400,000 euros he earned in that match, so they owed me a few quid.
What a good question that came up earlier. How's Federer been so good for so long?
Do you know what? I'll give you a little story. I was at the O2 finals 2 years ago. And bear in mind, Federer now is 40 next year. Okay, he's 40 next year. And you know the little walls with the lights, where the reaction walls?
Yeah.
And they do all that. They've got the World Championships is at the O2, end of the year. They've got the 8 best players in the world are there by right because of the ranking. Federer was the oldest by 5 years. He beat all of them by 3 seconds. You know, there's not published information. You're doing the tests. He beat them all in reactions.
Really?
So his hand-eye coordination, his analytical power with his brain, his hand-eye coordination is by far better than anyone else. And that's why he's still at the top. I mean, there's other reasons.
Yeah, but he's fucking skillful. That's one of them.
Yeah. Absolutely. He's creative. He's skillful. He's creative. He's calm. I mean, the guy's a genius.
In a 5-setter, what's the drop-off in performance due to fatigue?
That's an amazing question. And so the average player physically drops off 20%. Their ball speed drops down 20%. So that's why you look at Rafa, you look at Novak, some of the stronger guys. That's why they want to be stronger. Because they want
get that 20% down.
Yeah, because if I'm playing you, my ball speed's dropping, you can attack me more.
Yeah.
You know, the revs on the ball's going. So that's a great question.
Because that's what happens a lot in shooting. I don't think people understand it, that you're out there for 2 hours, you're carrying equipment, you're walking uphill, you're slugging it out, you're mentally tired, and everything can slow down. It could be the easiest of the stands, but you're at your worst peak. And
yeah, absolutely right. And I think the thing is, like you're talking about the psychology behind it, the rituals, the routines, all these interlinking sports. You know, I guess you've got to have equipment with you when you're going up the hill. You know,
you're carrying it all yourself.
What's your preparation like? What's your sleep like? You know, there's a lot of, this wearable technology that we're looking at the moment. There's a lot of linked into deprivation and what's the optimum amount of sleep.
Yeah, we had a guy on the other day that was talking about this.
Yeah, brilliant. It's so important, Ben. I mean, as you know, it's all these things, jet lag. You know, you're traveling all over the world shooting. So how early do you get there?
Yeah.
And prepare? You know,
what,
because,
Who analyses their food intake and that?
A lot of the top guys now have nutritionalists, physios. Yeah, I mean, it really is a mini army. I was in Wawrinka's box at Wimbledon last year, and there's 15 people in there with me. You know, it's just for the tennis player. You know, it used to be the player and the coach. You know, so it's obviously it comes down to budget, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah. Well, if you're not winning, you're not going to be able to afford it.
Exactly.
What? How many coaches are shared in a tennis? Does more than one coach work with more than one client?
Yeah, great question. So again, some of the top guys only have a serving coach.
Yeah.
Some of the top guys have a movement coach that is a tennis coach.
Yeah.
Forget the physical trainer. So that's a really good point, and that's where it's been great for me to come involved, because I've not been a threat to the coaches. I've just been a help to the coaches, and obviously I've been ethical and done it the right way. I've not been too big with my ego and gone, I want to speak to the player, I want to get involved too much with the player. You know, I know my role.
Just pay me and fuck off.
A little bit, yeah.
So there's an interesting question from Ben Husthwaite there. The data from that final set when he won 8-6, that must have been something like you wouldn't get to see that data that often, would you?
No. But it was a tactical change in that match that changed the match. It was 2 sets to 1 down. There was something that we did tactically that totally swung the whole situation.
Changed the pendulum.
Yeah, so in tennis, if I play you, I only need to, if I win 54% of the points, okay, I beat you 90% of the time.
Oh, really?
You're winning 46%.
Yeah.
So it's so
small.
tight. Yeah.
So
the top 20. Gone.
When you're analysing, so in that situation where you've been asked to, emergency, Mike, we've got a fucking disaster on our hands. Do you analyse him or the opponent?
Both. Because I've got both their data.
You need his weaknesses, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, great question. And again, relating to shooting, are you allowed coaching during the competition?
Not actually why they're competing, but a coach can walk with their students, yeah.
How do you stop coaching then if you can walk with a student?
Exactly, you know what I mean? It's just a fucking another nonsense rule.
Yeah, but I just think it's exciting for you, the fact that you're innovating and thinking about this and looking at it, and let's try to make it happen when we get out this lockdown.
Yeah, well, let's. Have you got? Do you have anything form of, apart from Instagram that people can go and have a look at what you do anywhere?
Yeah, they can check out Sporteye Analytics. I set up my own analytics company last year. It's predominantly tennis based and paddle. I'd like to get involved in other sports. So Sporteye with 3 eyes, analytics.com. And you can find out what we're doing there.
I thought we were just going to wrap it up, mate, but there's another question coming. Do you make any suggestions on equipment improvements for the clients?
Yes.
So you can you can have a look at that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And again, we link that to the laser part that we can't code, which is like the revs per minute, ball speed, these things, because that's going to make a difference on the equipment you're using. Awesome.
I think that's about all we need to look at.
But if anyone wants to drop me a message on Instagram, ask me any questions, by all means, I can see they're firing, still firing. So, by all means, people can get in touch with me.
Mike, that was absolutely amazing, mate, as I thought it would be. And is it dart fish or dark fish?
Dart.
Dart as in throw it at your head.
Yeah.
Mate, I really appreciate that. I think let's see if we can get together and free some time in diaries where we can get together and have a look at something and see if we can just put like a 15-minute clip together where we can just have a look at something, even if we have a look at one of these points and show how we would find that data and bring it together, because we're going to jump offline now because it's the fucking NHS clap now, so I want to get in the street and it's the only time I see the neighbours.
Okay, brilliant, mate. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
No, mate, no, it's the other way around. We appreciate you coming on. This is fucking, you do a lot more. That was mega, mate. So thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
And I'll speak to you soon, Mike. Take care, pal.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Cheers.
We're going to jump off now for the clap. We'll talk about that, what Mike's had to say, when we get back on just after 8 o'clock with the answers to the quiz as well. So we'll see you all in about 15 minutes. Stay safe till then.